A leaked clip from the UK Coast Guard shows a humanoid figure with glowing eyes breaching the surface. In a murky lake video, a swimmer dives down and is met with a loud, deep growl. What he captures next is chilling. And just what is this thing thrashing in the water? Well, these are more real mermaid sightings deep-sea fishermen can't explain. Do you spot something in the water here? It's hard to see at first, took me a few watches, but here it is slowed down. Keep your eye on the right-hand side of the screen. A creepy humanoid figure breaches the water before slipping back down below and presumably swimming to the left side of the boat because the sailor reacts, moving to the other side trying to keep his eye on the thing. This was supposedly leaked footage from the UK Coast Guard. They've been searching for a man who'd gone overboard. Whatever they spotted here though was clearly not human. The speed of this thing, the way it moves, the glowing eyes, very unsettling. This is a pretty creepy video. It was filmed in what looks like a lake, and I'm not sure where, but a dude is filming himself swimming around in the murky water. He comes up to get some air, and when he dives back down, we hear this loud growling sound. Take a listen to this. And the idea of swimming out in the lake alone and then ducking your head down underwater to see and hear that, yeah, that's a no thank you. And I'd be out of the water so fast, or I'd just have a heart attack and I would drown. Instead, cameraman decides to follow this thing though. Again, it's really effective. The sound here, the murkiness of the water, it just adds some real creep factor to the whole thing. This isn't the type of mermaid video where you're in this beautiful, blue water and it's all gorgeous. This is different. Finally though, the guy comes back up out of the water and we see this. What do you think of this one? Real or hoax? Let us know down in the comments. Can you describe what's going on here? Something's definitely in the water. This video doesn't look doctored to me. As for what it is though, I have no idea. I don't have any info on this clip. I don't know where it was filmed, or I don't know who the original uploader is. People are pretty divided in the comments too. A couple people say it looks like something eating a seal, others say an otter, crocodile, snake, Nessie, and of course possible mermaid sighting. There are also a lot of comments that are just hearts or like laughing emojis for some reason. Are those the feelings you get watching something weird undulating underwater? Like, oh. People are people okay? This next story comes to us from Reddit from a now deleted user. He worked as a fisherman though, and wrote the following. I've debated posting this for a while. I used to run deep sea charters out of Valdez, mostly halibut and black cod. Commercial and sport. Not much spooks me. I've seen weird lights, heard things I can't explain, but chalked it up to fatigue or whiskey. What happened in 2014 still bothers me. It was just me, an old-timer, Bobby, and a deckhand, Reed. We were about 100 miles offshore. Calm water, overcast skies, quiet. Around 2 a.m., Reed comes up from the stern and says, "You hear that?" We kill the engine, and sure enough, there it is. This faint, echoing singing from somewhere out on the water. A woman's voice, slow and drawn out. It didn't sound recorded, it sounded wet, like it was coming from beneath us. That's when Bobby starts walking toward the edge of the deck, like he's in a daze. I grab his jacket before he leans over. He looks at me like I just woke him up from a dream. Says it felt like someone was humming right next to his ear. The singing stopped after maybe 5 minutes. We didn't say much the rest of the trip. I've worked these waters 20 years. That's the only night I've ever felt like we weren't alone out there. This next video comes out of France. Apparently a diving instructor decided to scrub through security camera footage after hearing something. So we see a woman walk in wearing nothing but a towel. She then dives into the water, pretty normal so far, aside from the fact that the woman kinda reminds me of the ghost girl from The Ring. But then the water starts to bubble and churn, like something's happening under there. And that's when we see the water start overflowing out of the pool. This woman is having quite the swim. And then we cut to security camera down below and see what looks like a webbed hand press up against the glass enclosure. This is a pretty effective video. definitely gets the imagination going. Is it real though? I'm going to go ahead and let you be the judge of that. This has become a rather well-known piece of footage taken in 2013 off the coast of Mallorca, Spain. It has some people convinced that a real mermaid was captured on camera that day. A tourist filming from a boat caught something unusual perched on a rocky outcrop near the shore. Now, at first glance, it looks like some kind of sea creature with long fish-like tail, a bluish tint, but what is it doing out of the water? And when you get a closer look, it gets even stranger. The upper body seems oddly human, with 2 arms and a rounded head. At first it looks motionless, almost like a statue, but then it moves. So what's really going on here? Could this be proof that mermaids exist? Is it an elaborate hoax, some clever CGI, or just someone in a costume? Let us know what you think. This man's seen and heard some very eerie stuff while out on the water. Brian Coleman is a fisherman from New Bedford, Massachusetts, going by Sauce90 on TikTok. He's posted some pretty eerie videos on there, most of them having to do with unsettling things that he sees or hears out at sea late at night. In this first clip, he captures something swimming near the surface of the water at a pretty solid clip, keeping up with the boat. But this next part is where it gets really eerie. It's late at night and now he starts hearing this haunting cry, almost like a siren's call, coming from somewhere out in the waves.
I hear him. Where's he at? What the f is that noise, bro?
It's cool actually seeing something like this. You really get a sense of why so many sailors back in the day would spin tales of strange encounters they had out at sea, and what they could only assume were ghostly cries of mermaids luring them into the water. If you didn't know any better, that's exactly what you'd probably think too. A lot of commenters say this is most likely the sound of orcas though, but all the same, it's this pretty eerie, haunting sound. Now, fake mermaid videos are a dime a dozen. You see a lot of AI ones these days, a lot of CG ones, but this one is very well done and it's eerie, it's creepy. I do not like it. Imagine swinging around and feeling something slimy brush over your leg and then seeing this pale, horrifying looking water ghoul swimming right next to you. Now, I do not think the video is real, but it's creepy all the same. The movement of the water, the quality of the costume, it looks really good. It doesn't look like CG to me. It looks like it's actually someone in a costume, which makes it even more impressive. This took some a bit more dedication. And I don't know where it was filmed, so the mystery behind it just adds to the eeriness.
In 1978, a geologist hiking near Iceland stumbled across a strange fossil embedded in a rock wall. It looked like a partial skeleton, with a humanoid rib cage, scaled lower limbs, and elongated finger bones. He turned it over to the University of Iceland for study, and then it vanished. To this day, only photographs remain. Some experts suggested it was a hoax or misidentified fish bones, but the proportions didn't match any known marine species. What's stranger is that mermaid sightings are extremely common in Icelandic folklore, especially in that region. Locals believe that fossil was proof of an evil sea witch believed to lure sailors into whirlpools and drown them. During the Cold War, Soviet submarines patrolling near the Sea of Japan recorded something bizarre on their sonar. What sounded like high-pitched singing, followed by multiple fast-moving underwater objects surrounding their vessel. At first, the crew believed it was a foreign sub, but no signatures matched known technology. One sonar technician described the singing as, quote, almost human, but not quite. Years later, after the fall of the USSR, some of these logs were leaked to independent researchers. Many now believe the Soviets may have encountered the same mysterious beings that Pacific Island cultures describe as sea sisters, a group of female spirits or creatures who travel in pods, warning or punishing those who disturb the ocean. Off the island of Vis, off the Croatian coast, sailors have long spoken of sea girls who appear in the moonlight singing to fishermen. And in 2016, something strange happened. A group of night fishermen swore they saw 3 long-haired women sitting on coastal rocks. They were naked, appeared to shimmer in the moonlight, and vanished into the sea when approached. Initially laughed off by the public, the story gained traction when cell phone footage surfaced brief and grainy, but showing 3 glowing shapes diving in unison. Marine biologists later confirmed the video showed, quote, no known animal behavior, and that area is now unofficially off limits to small boats at night. This one isn't a legend, it's actually a scientific theory with some strange implications. The aquatic ape hypothesis suggests that a branch of human evolution may have adapted to life in the water, developing traits like subcutaneous fat, breath control, and even partial webbing between fingers and toes. Mainstream science largely rejects it, but here's the strange part. People in remote coastal areas from Indonesia to Mozambique describe sightings of humanoid creatures with those exact features. Webbed hands, smooth hairless bodies, exceptional swimming speed. Could these be descendants of a lost evolutionary branch? Some anthropologists aren't laughing anymore, especially after scuba divers found handprints in underwater caves far deeper than any known human could reach without modern gear. In 1830s Louisiana, newspapers ran with a bizarre story. A fishwoman had been spotted multiple times along the banks of the Mississippi River near Baton Rouge. Witnesses described a creature with long black hair, pale skin, and fish-like lower limbs. The sightings caused panic. People refused to bathe or fish in the river, and boat captains rerouted cargo trips. What's wild is that these stories didn't go away. In 1842, a letter to the editor in the New Orleans Bee referenced an aquatic woman with haunting eyes spotted again, and even blamed her for a sunken steamboat. While no physical evidence ever surfaced, the consistency and fear surrounding these sightings make them stand out among American mermaid lore. In 2021, a team of researchers studying glacial melt near Greenland dropped a deep-sea camera into a subglacial cave. What they captured shocked them. A figure, upright, bipedal, but unmistakably aquatic. This creature hovered in the background for several seconds before darting away. The footage was dismissed by officials as, quote, distorted data, but the researchers who collected it told a different story in private. According to them, they reviewed the raw footage frame by frame and watched as the figure turned its head toward the camera, revealing wide-set eyes and thin gill slits. They called them shadow divers, beings that exist on the edge of where life should be possible. And if you ask them off the record, they'll say that we are not alone down there.
Legends have long depicted mermaids as sirens of the sea, luring sailors with their beautiful songs. The idea of mermaids singing haunting melodies dates back centuries and spans across different cultures. So really, sound is one of the most integral parts of mermaid lore. In many tales, their voices are described as both enchanting and unsettling, able to draw people into the depths of the ocean, sometimes never to be seen again. Take the famous story of the Sirens from Greek mythology, for instance. These creatures sang irresistible songs that led sailors to shipwreck on rocky shores. Similarly, in Irish folklore, the Marrow, a mermaid-like creature, was known for her beautiful voice, often depicted as singing while combing her hair on the rocks. But not all mermaid songs are sweet and melodic. Some are described as mournful or eerie. But are these stories just myths and legends, or could there be some truth to them? The ocean is vast, mysterious, and most of it is unexplored. So let's talk about some of the eeriest unexplained sounds in more modern times. One of the most unnerving sounds ever recorded in our oceans is known as the upsweep, which has earned its place on the NOAA's list of unidentified underwater noises, and for good reason. First heard back in 1991, the upsweep is a series of high-pitched sounds that rise in frequency almost like an eerie musical scale going up and up. Just imagine listening to it while alone on a boat in the vast Pacific Ocean. I mean, you wouldn't technically be able to hear it without fancy equipment, but let's just say you did have some for some reason. It'd be pretty unnerving. Scientists have some theories as to what made the sound, but none are definitive answers. Some think it could be related to geological activity, others imagine it being the calls of unknown creatures deep in the abyss. The The bio-twang. This sound was recorded in 2014 in the depths of the Mariana Trench, which already makes this one pretty creepy. Just the thought of hearing something from the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean makes this sound feel extra eerie. When scientists first picked up the bio-twang, they were pretty puzzled. The sound has a strange, almost mechanical quality to it, which is why it was given the name Western Pacific bio-twang. Sharon Newkirk, a senior faculty research assistant in marine bioacoustics at Oregon State University, described it as, quote, very distinct. She pointed out that the low-frequency moaning part is typical of baleen whales, but that twangy part really sets it apart from anything else. In fact, it's rare to find new vocalizations from baleen whales. So what exactly could have made the noise? Is it an odd call from a whale, or could it be something else? I'm not so sure the noise fits with what we typically imagine mermaids sounding like, but who the hell knows? Next up, we have the whistle. On July 7th, 1997, something bizarre got picked up by a single hydrophone, which is like an underwater microphone. The source of the sound, dubbed the whistle, has still never been identified. It's this ultra-low frequency noise that sounds kind of like a whistle, but really deep and eerie. Picture the sound you'd make if you blew air through a tiny gap between your lips, but imagine that echoing through the depths of the ocean. Despite tons of research and speculation, nobody knows for sure what made this noise. Some say it could be a new type of marine animal communicating in a way we haven't figured out yet, like a mermaid. Recorded back in 1997, the slowdown sound is a series of low-frequency sounds that rise and fall in a rhythmic pattern. Check it out. It's very haunting. It sounds almost like a subway train pulling into the station, except deep underwater. It's definitely not a sound you'd want to hear if you were out on the water alone. But scientists have never been able to 100% determine what it is. Some think it might be related to natural geological activity, movements in the Earth's crust, or underwater volcanic eruptions, but some think it could be a vocalization from an unknown marine creature. Interestingly, the sound wasn't only recorded once. Since 1997, it's been heard a handful of times each year, which raises even more questions about what could be making this noise. Is it a natural phenomenon, or is there something deeper in the ocean producing these sounds?
In our number 5 spot today, we have the mermaid POV. Okay, we've already had a shark POV on this list today, but now we've got a video from the POV of an actual mermaid. I guess this video is like what would happen if mermaids could go live. Imagine diving into the deep blue from the very eyes of a mermaid herself. This video immerses you into an underwater world like no other. The footage starts with an intimate close-up of delicate neck gills, subtly moving as the mermaid breathes beneath the surface. Her graceful hands glide through the water, fingers trailing along vibrant coral and swaying seaweed, showcasing an elegance that feels almost otherworldly. As she navigates through the ocean currents, the camera captures her seamless movements, blending effortlessly with the surrounding marine life. Every moment is filled with wonder, making you question whether these enchanting beings truly exist, or if it's all just an elaborate illusion crafted by nature's magic. Could this POV footage be the real proof that we've been searching for? In our number 4 spot today, we have the Zimbabwe mermaid. Imagine strolling along the tranquil waters beneath a bridge in Zimbabwe when suddenly something extraordinary catches your eye. In this video, the camera swiftly zooms in to reveal a mesmerizing mermaid-like creature perched gracefully on a rocky shore. Her shimmering tail flicks in the sunlight as she moves from one rock to another, showcasing a blend of creepy movements and a ton of mystery. In the background, another figure can be seen moving by the pillars of the bridge, making this a rare time when possibly 2 mermaids were caught on tape at the same time. As the mermaid swings her tail and hops onto different rocks, her movements are so unhuman-like that it leaves a creepy feeling behind. Just as quickly as she appears, she slips behind the bridge, leaving viewers wondering if they've witnessed a true legend or an elaborate illusion. Could this enchanting creature truly inhabit the waters of Zimbabwe, or is it a stunning glimpse into the mythical world we've always dreamed of? In our number 3 spot today, we have the Siren call. This video was posted to TikTok by the user megpie7, and it shows the call of a siren being heard. The video starts off with Meg just casually fishing off the dock in the night. Meg probably thought she was gonna have a nice, calm evening. Little did she know she was about to make quite the catch. The concept of the siren call has its roots deep in ancient Greek mythology, where sirens were depicted as enchanting yet perilous creatures. Originally portrayed as part bird and part woman, sirens inhabited remote islands and were famous for their mesmerizing songs. These alluring melodies were so captivating that they would lure sailors off course, causing them to crash their ships onto rocky shores. One of the most famous tales involving sirens is found in Homer's Odyssey, where the hero Odysseus orders his crew to plug their ears with beeswax and have himself tied to the mast to safely navigate past the siren's irresistible song. Over time, the image of sirens has evolved, often blending with mermaid folklore to become more human-like, featuring beautiful women with fishtails. This is all to say that what this video captures is pretty insane and might really be something that is the stuff of legends. In our number 2 spot today, we have the real mermaid. I'll be honest, this video doesn't really have me totally convinced, but I couldn't leave it out of this list today. This video was posted to YouTube and it just features some guys hanging out at what looks like some kind of freshwater river. They start off the video by saying that they are on a mermaid hunt and that this specific body of water always draws them in. Maybe it's the siren call that they're unknowingly hearing. Before long, they turn the camera toward the water and one of the men points out what we are all waiting to see. Just beneath the surface of the water, you can see the silhouette of a mermaid as she glides on by. The men quickly make quips about how it's strange to see such a creature in a freshwater setting as opposed to the usual salt water we would expect, but to be honest, does it really matter when we're talking about a fictional creature? Probably not, but I can definitely appreciate the attention to detail. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the Australian Barrier Reef. Imagine diving into the vibrant, kaleidoscopic waters of the Great Barrier Reef, where every coral formation bursts with color and life. As schools of tropical fish weave through the swaying sea anemones, a graceful figure glides into view. A stunning mermaid with a shimmering tail that mirrors the reef's brilliant hues. Her movements are fluid and mesmerizing, seamlessly blending with the surrounding marine life as she swims gracefully past intricate coral structures. The video, captured by an awe-inspired snorkeler, perfectly balances the natural beauty of the reef with the mysterious allure of this mythical creature. Could this be real proof that mermaids share these pristine waters with us, or is it just a trick of light and perspective? As the footage spread across social media, it sparked debate, keeping the legend of mermaids alive and more captivating than ever. Whether a genuine glimpse into a hidden world or a stunning piece of underwater artistry, this video continues to inspire our dreams of what lies beneath the surface. Listed in our number 10 spot, we have the Minnesota Mermaid. Imagine this. A tranquil day by a Minnesota lakeside takes a wild turn when an Australian tourist captures something extraordinary on camera. Men dressed in bright yellow hazmat suits rush to the shore, carefully handling a mysterious figure with a shimmering green tail. The sunlight dances off the scales as they lift it from the water's edge, the tail flicking ever so slightly. Could this be one of the most convincing mermaid sightings ever caught on tape? The contrast of the hazmat suits against the natural backdrop only deepens the mystery. What could possibly require such caution and such secrecy? As the footage spreads, it leaves everyone buzzing with excitement and questions. Have we finally caught a real glimpse of the legendary creatures that have captivated our imaginations for centuries? In our number 9 spot today, we have the mermaid on a rock. Soaring above the shimmering Mediterranean waters of Israel, an aerial camera captures a moment that has mermaid enthusiasts buzzing worldwide. Amidst the rolling ocean waves, a solitary rock stands defiantly, and there, defying all expectations, a graceful mermaid makes her appearance. With her iridescent green tail glistening under the sun, she scuttles confidently across the rocky surface before plunging back into the depths with a splash that ripples through the water. The video, though very brief, is astonishingly clear, making it one of the most convincing mermaid sightings ever caught on tape. Could this enchanting creature be a real inhabitant of our oceans, or is it just an elaborate hoax fueled by our love for mythical legends? As the footage began to circulate online, it ignited debates and it fueled the imagination, leaving us all wondering if the age-old tales of mermaids might just hold a hint of truth after all. In our number 8 spot today, we have the swimming with dolphins. Okay, this video is giving major Ariel vibes, and it is exactly how I would like to picture a mermaid should they really be out there lurking in our oceans. In this mesmerizing footage, a stunning mermaid glides gracefully alongside a playful pod of dolphins, their sleek bodies moving in perfect harmony through the waves. At one thrilling moment, they all leap out of the water together, silhouetted against the horizon, making it hard to believe what your eyes are seeing. Filmed by an avid marine enthusiast, this video blurs the line between myth and reality, sparking debates. Could these enchanting creatures really coexist with our beloved marine mammals, or is this just an elaborate illusion crafted to revive ancient sea legends? As the video continues to circulate online, it definitely leaves us all wondering. In our number 7 spot today, we have GoPro on a shark. GoPro on a shark. Those are a few words I never thought I'd be putting together into a sentence, but it happened and it caught something insane. This video shows some fishermen, of course, putting a GoPro onto a shark and then releasing the shark to see what it captures. This is, I mean, a crazy but super interesting idea, but I'm sure no one expected what it was going to catch. The video is a bit murky considering this really is just a shark POV video, but this murkiness is exactly what makes every movement feel mysterious and unpredictable. As the camera starts recording, something extraordinary happens. Amidst the shadows and swirling currents, faint, graceful figures begin to move alongside the shark. These silhouettes resemble the legendary mermaids we've all heard about, elegant tails flickering and flowing as they navigate the underwater world with ease. This brief but captivating footage has quickly become one of the most convincing mermaid sightings ever caught. Could these enchanting beings really share the depths with these powerful sharks, or is it just a trick of the light and water? In our number 6 spot today, we have the Shipwreck. Imagine plunging into the shadowy depths of a sunken ship where every creak and ripple tells a story of forgotten voyages. In this convincing footage, an intrepid explorer documents their underwater adventure with a steady hand. As they navigate the eerie shipwreck, schools of fish scatter through the murky water, and suddenly, one fish appears to be struck by a spear. Just when you think the suspense can't build anymore, a flash of movement catches the camera's eye. A swift, half-humanoid creature darts through the wreckage, snatching the fish with lightning speed before disappearing into the darkness. This fleeting glimpse of what some describe as a marine alien species blurs the line between legend and reality, leaving viewers mesmerized and questioning what truly lies beneath the waves. Could this mysterious being be living proof that mermaids or other mysterious sea creatures are in fact real?
Back in 2012, Zimbabwe ran into a strange problem at a couple of dam sites. Workers were so scared of mermaids that they just straight up abandoned their posts. Water Resources Minister Sam Sepepa Nkomo explained the situation during a Senate meeting, saying that workers believed mermaids were living in the reservoirs and pulling people underwater. They were so freaked out that they refused to come back. And hey, fair enough. Doesn't sound worth it to me either. There are plenty of jobs that don't involve getting dragged underwater and drowned by mythical creatures. To try and fix the issue though, the government brought in traditional chiefs to perform rituals to get rid of these mermaids. Nkomo said these ceremonies were done to, quote, exorcise mermaids believed to inhabit reservoirs. Now, thinking the problem might just be some local superstition, Nkomo also tried hiring foreign workers, figuring they wouldn't buy into the stories, but even those workers ended up reporting weird sightings and refused to continue the job. Some people, including Nkomo himself, wondered if dangerous water currents might have been to blame here instead of anything supernatural. But whatever the case, the government went ahead with the traditional rituals to calm everyone down, get work moving again. So I have no idea what really went on here, but what a bizarre story. Now, just what exactly is this sound? It was recorded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, in 1991, and to this day nobody knows what it is, so, I mean, it's gotta be mermaids, right? The upsweep is one of those deep-sea mysteries that scientists still haven't been able to fully explain. What's cool is that unlike other weird ocean sounds that were only picked up once, the upsweep's been recorded every year since 1991. It seems to follow a seasonal pattern, getting louder during certain times of the year and then fading. But even after decades of listening, no one's been able to figure out exactly where it's coming from. Some researchers think it could be connected to volcanic activity deep under the ocean, but some others wonder if the sound might actually be coming from some unknown sea creature we haven't discovered yet. We always hear vague stories about mermaid sightings way back in the day, but do we have any specific accounts? Well, yes, quite a bit actually. In 1603, for example, a farmer named Thomas Reynolds saw what looked like a mermaid in the water off the coast of Wales near Pendine. He called over other people and together they watched the creature for about 3 hours. According to their description, the creature was partly human with the upper body of a woman, but from the waist down it looked like a fish. A man named William Saunders, another local, took the time to carefully examine what Reynolds and the other witnesses had seen. He listened to their stories and found their accounts believable enough to document everything. In fact, the sighting was taken seriously enough that in 1604, just a year later, the story showed up in the paper, along with an illustration to show what they described. The mermaid was recorded as a, quote, monstrous fish that appeared in the form of a woman from her waist upward. A guy in South Africa claimed to have spotted a mermaid-like creature in 2008 in the small village of Shipwreck. A man named Daniel Cupido and his mother Dina were near the river around 11:30 at night when they heard a loud banging noise. Cupido said it sounded like someone bashing on a wall. So he went to check it out, and when he got closer, Cupido said he saw something strange thrashing. He described the figure as looking like a, quote, white woman with long black hair thrashing about in the water. Concerned, he tried to help, but as he approached, the creature let out this strange sound that his mother said was so sorrowful her heart couldn't take it anymore. Some believe that what they saw that night may have been what's called a caiman, and I don't mean like caiman like the alligator type animal. The caiman is said to be a half-human, half-fish creature that lives in deep river pools. Shipwreck tourism officer Maggie Gentry supported the group's story too, saying she personally knew the witnesses and made it clear that they were not people who drank heavily or made up stories. She said she trusted their word and believed that they genuinely saw something that night. Between 1887 and 1913, people along the coast of Ness and the Orkney Islands kept spotting something strange in the water. Dozens of people, farmers, fishermen, and tourists, reported seeing the same thing over and over. The creature became known as the Ness mermaid. One witness described it like this: "It is about 6 to 7 feet in length, has a little black head with neck, a snow-white body and 2 arms, and in swimming, it just appears like a human being. At times it will appear to be siding on a sunken rock and will wave and work its hands." Sightings like this became so frequent in the summer that it pretty much became a part of the local culture. People even wrote plays about it. And then in 1913, off the southeastern coast of Hawaii, another group had their own run-in with something that matched the same description. A fisherman named Ralph Taylor and his crew saw what they thought was a mermaid while checking their lobster pots. Taylor described the account as follows: "It rose out of the water to the height of 3 feet and looked like a lady with a shawl around her shoulders and streaming down her face." The ningen is a mysterious sea creature that people in Japan have reported seeing over the last several years, and it sounds a little bit like a mermaid. Not the beautiful mermaid we all think of, but a mermaid-like creature. Ningen is said to live in the icy waters of the Antarctic and is described as completely white, human-shaped, and can grow up to 20 to 30 meters long. Witnesses say the creature sometimes has arms, legs, 5-fingered hands, fins, tails. One sighting came from a whale research ship. First, the crew thought they were looking at a foreign submarine, but when they got closer, realized what they were actually looking at was a living creature, which quickly disappeared back under the water. In November of 2007, MU Magazine published a Google Earth screenshot that seemed to capture the ningen in the South Atlantic Ocean. There have been rumors that the Japanese government keeps detailed records of Ningen sightings but hasn't made any of them public.
In the mid-1900s, a crab fishing crew went out off the coast of Florida on a voyage. Toward the tail end of the storm, one of the crew members noticed a strange creature that had washed up on the back of the deck. As he got a closer look, he realized it was some kind of a mermaid-esque creature laying there unconscious. He told the others, and then they grabbed it and put it in a spare crab tank on board.
From footage of mermaid-like creatures washed up on shore to stories of encounters with aggressive water creatures in Zimbabwe, these are real mermaid sightings deep-sea fishermen can't explain. Always cool seeing what washes up on shore at the beach, isn't it? Unless, of course, it looks like this. This is a pretty horrifying image, real or not, and I gotta say it does look pretty realistic. You'll notice the creature's jaw even moves slightly like it's breathing or attempting to breathe. Whatever it is, it doesn't look like it's doing very well health-wise. I think there are a lot of people who kinda wish mermaids and mermen were real. You know, beautiful people gliding through the water, singing pretty songs at night, luring sailors down into the dark, brackish depths of the sea, never to be seen again. I would not be getting lured anywhere by this ugly monstrosity, though. So this is a very strange video. Supposedly it comes out of Kenya, but I've heard it coming from other parts of Africa too, so I'm not 100% certain. In the video we clearly see what looks to be a young mermaid-like being washed up on a beach surrounded by onlookers. It's clear that the supposed mermaid is actually on camera. I mean, this is a real person. The question is whether they're a real mermaid or just a person with a fish attached to their lower half. And yeah, that's almost definitely the case, but what creeps me out about this video is why it exists. I just have so many questions about this thing. There's just something very uncomfortable about this footage. Why was this created? Who is the person they've attached to this fish? Are they okay? And just what the hell is the music the uploader has added to the footage? It doesn't fit at all, and it just makes the whole thing even more strange and unsettling. During World War II, strange sightings were reported in the key islands of Indonesia, where Japanese soldiers stationed there encountered what they described as mermaids, or mermaid-like creatures. Local villagers familiar with these creatures called them orang ikan, or manfish, and they were said to stand at just under 5 feet tall, with pink salmon-colored skin, spikes along their spine and neck, and a mouth resembling that of a carp. Instead of a fishtail, they had long arms and frog-like legs, both ending in talons. So they're basically the creature from the Black Lagoon. The soldiers claimed to have spotted the creatures both in and out of the water. One story came from a troop exploring a lagoon who saw one of the things leap onto a rock, facing the soldiers and making a gurgling, burping noise. As another creature swam swiftly toward them, the soldiers fired shots at the rocks and water, but the creatures vanished before their eyes. Later, Sergeant Tero Horiba asked villagers to notify him if one of the creatures was ever captured. Eventually, the village chief presented a lifeless specimen to him. Creature about 4'9" tall apparently matched the description perfectly. These photos are pretty famous in the world of deep-sea cryptids. They were taken by a man named Jeff Leitcher in 1998. He was a diver who claimed to have captured the first documented proof that mermaids exist. It all happened about 20 minutes off the coast of Kauai when Leitcher was diving with a group. While swimming with a pod of dolphins, he noticed what appeared to be a woman swimming alongside them. What caught his attention was that she was keeping up with the dolphins. Then the woman suddenly leapt out of the water, and Leitcher realized she had the lower half of a fish. The woman jumped twice before disappearing in the water, leaving the group completely stunned. Then, about an hour later, while Leitcher was photographing some underwater life, the same mermaid-like creature supposedly brushed up against him as she swam by. He quickly snapped a few pictures just as she turned around. I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century. The Kauai Point mermaid is real, Leitcher said. In 2009, something strange started happening near Kuryat Yam, Israel. Dozens of locals claimed to see a mermaid off the shore at sunset. Over time, more and more people reported spotting the creature, describing it as resembling a young woman who would frequently visit the beach and perform tricks in the water. As the sightings gained more and more attention, the Israeli government even got involved, and they offered a $1 million reward for anyone who could provide proof of the mermaid's existence. No need to capture capture it, just an authentic photo would do. NBC sent a film crew to investigate. They stationed themselves at Kuryat Yam beach, both above and below the water, filming around the clock. And one night they claimed to have spotted a human figure dipping into the water before disappearing. The research crew did their best to track the mermaid down, but they couldn't pinpoint its exact location. The footage was sent to Coastal Oceans Research in Los Angeles for further analysis. Michael Schacht, the center's director, reviewed the footage and said although it was impossible to unequivocally determine the figure in the footage, it still remains a viable option. In other words, could be the real deal, but it's not definitively proven.
Mermaids are real. Don't believe me? Well, what about this recent sighting in Australia? There have been a lot of mermaid encounters out there, and people have had some terrifying experiences. Sauce90 is a TikToker who just so happens to work on these giant boats in the ocean. Now, he's had a lot of terrifying encounters with some sort of creatures out there, and many think these creatures are mermaids or sirens. Now, he recorded a video with two creatures swimming on either side of the huge ship. Now, they were moving very quickly, keeping up the pace, which is honestly insane. He knew that they weren't dolphins or anything and asked people for help in identifying them, and a lot of people speculated, hey, these could be mermaids. Then there was another video he made with these same two swimming creatures, and they were making the strangest noises ever. Now, this made people think that they were sirens, as sirens are said to sing songs to hypnotize sailors and make them go into the water. Now, the noises are truly unsettling, and in one clip you can hear one of them say, "Jump for me." I would go back inside the boat and never come out again, because again, that is just terrifying and freaky and makes me think that they're evil. Then there was the mermaid story from Tony Woods. Tony is a comedian, but I can promise you he wasn't joking about any of this. Now, when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he explained that he had seen a mermaid, or what he calls a merman, in real life in Seychelles, Africa. He was with a little French boy, and people in the community said don't swim in the lagoon after dark. He then said that there was a lot of people at the bar and that he and the boy raced down to the lagoon, which they were warned about, but they didn't listen. While down there, they saw something swimming fast and it then jumped out of the water. He said it was at least 10 to 12 feet long and made eye contact with him. Now, obviously, the pair got scared and went back to the bar where everyone was, but no one believed them. The boy's mother apologized, saying he had an overactive imagination, but Tony swears that he saw this creature too. He said it wasn't a mermaid, but a merman, that it had dark skin and was half human, half fish. His head was humanoid, eyes were so big. Now, Tony says he's not the only one to have seen something like that in the area, which makes him believe what he saw was even more real. And I mean, the way that he tells this story, the body language, the inflection, it just feels so real to me. And we do know that there have been multiple sightings in Africa of mermaids, and all I can say is at least Tony had a witness with him when he saw what he saw, but wow, what a crazy story. And then a user on Reddit told this story that is absolutely terrifying. They said that they saw a mermaid once in 2004 when they were in Jamaica. They were at a bridge called Flat Bridge, which is known for its mermaid sightings. Now, they decided to go close to the water, and as they got closer, they saw a woman resting beside a rock. They described her as having her hair being red and her skin very dark. Now, as they got closer, they realized that she was a fishy type of woman with dark eyes. Now, this obviously scared the user, and they said they almost passed out from fear. They then screamed "mermaid" over and over and over again, and the creature became scared and swam away really fast. Now, the user thought that they were going crazy, but spoke to the locals who told them that mermaids do exist and that it's normal in Jamaica. They then said not to get too close or the mermaids could take you underwater. And yeah, I think I'd have the same reaction as this person, because that is terrifying. mermaids are real. Don't believe me? Well, what about this recent sighting in Australia? I mean, a mermaid literally washed up on a beach there. In July 2023, photos of a creature resembling a mermaid alien washed ashore on an Australian beach. Now, the image came to light via a post in the Marine Biology Facebook group, and it was exactly like a mermaid shape, said uploader Bobby Lee Oates, 34, of the skeletal remains, which she stumbled across while walking along the beach in Couple Sands, Queensland. We were driving along the beach looking for a campsite, and we couldn't help but notice how much the skull looked to be in the shape of a human, she recalled. So we instantly stopped from the confusion as to what the hell this could be, and why does this look like a human skull? Now, Bobby Lee, who estimated that the creature was 6 feet long, described it by saying it had a human-shaped skull with an elongated jawline, and hair similar to the color of a cow or kangaroo, but with hair missing in many places due to decomposition. She continued by saying it was exactly like a mermaid shape, but hairy, because it seemed to have a tail or limb of some sort. Now, she posted the image to try to figure out what the creature was, but never got a definitive answer. So could this be some sort of mermaid? I think so. Then there were the soldiers who saw a type of mermaid. During World War II, Japanese soldiers were stationed in the key islands in Indonesia and had some weird encounters with what they said were mermaids. Now, the local villagers were familiar with these creatures and called them orang-ikan, which translates to manfish. Now, these creatures were described as being around 150 centimeters tall, having spikes on the spine, shoulder, and neck. They were said to have pink salmon-colored skin and a mouth that resembled a carp. Now, rather than having a fishtail, these creatures had long arms and frog-like legs, both of which had talons at the end. Now, the Japanese soldiers recorded many different sightings, saying they even saw one on land, but they mostly seemed at home in the water. For one instance, a troop of soldiers claimed to see one of these creatures jump out of the water onto a nearby rock. Now, it turned and faced the soldiers and let out a gurgling, burping noise that didn't seem to be too friendly. Then they saw another creature moving smoothly in the water towards them as fast as any fish would. Now, not knowing the intention of the creatures, the soldiers started shooting at the rocks and into the water, only to have the creatures disappear from view. Now, a sergeant named Mr. Taro spoke to the villagers and requested if any of the orang-ikan were captured, dead or alive, to contact him immediately. It was soon after that the chief summoned the general and, to his astonishment, saw with his own eyes the lifeless aquatic creature. Now, he described what he saw as roughly 4 foot 9 inches tall, pinkish skin, human-looking face and limbs, spikes along its head, and a mouth like a carp. Now, this just sounds like something out of a horror movie. Absolutely terrifying. Now, fishermen don't get scared too easily, as they see a lot of scary things being out in the middle of the ocean, but I doubt any of them ever thought that they would come face to face with a mermaid. Yep, you heard that right. Some fishermen accidentally caught a mermaid. In an alarming video, it appears that some fishermen caught a mermaid in a net, and they were so shocked that they accidentally dropped it back into the water. A clearly humanoid arm with a webbed hand reached back at them from the net, as if trying to grab the men. Now, the men lean back to avoid it, and the net slips and falls back into the ocean, with the mermaid escaping and them being left with questions. Now, is this legit? I think so. A user commented this on the video, and I agree. They said this video is amazing, almost a real proof about the existence of mermaids. Notice that the camera is unsteady, and it means that the situation took them by surprise. The creature trapped in the net is powerful and so desperate to get rid of it, and its aspect cannot correspond to a human being or any other animal. Now, it's understandable that the fishermen got in a panic and let it go back into the sea, but that was just so creepy. And finally, we have another story about an Australian mermaid, except this one is alive and well. A short clip was posted online of what could be a mermaid swimming among a reef. In 2007, a diver off the coast of Australia claimed to have encountered a real-life mermaid. In the footage, we see a diver filming a school of tropical fish in an unknown reef, and in the distance we see a humanoid figure swim towards the camera. Now, it appears to be half human, half fish, with a long scale-covered tail. The enormous enormous fins appear to propel the creature effortlessly through the water. When the clip was uploaded to the internet, it caused a speculative frenzy, as some herald the footage as strong evidence of mermaids. Now, analysts have noticed that the creature swims easily through the water without the use of its arms, and instead it uses its long fin tail to glide forwards. Now, could this diver have actually captured a real mermaid swimming in the sea? I think so. Are mermaids really out there hiding in our waters? I guess that's up to you to decide. First up, we have the Australia sighting. A video that was uploaded in 2010 has recently resurfaced that was taken at the Great Barrier Reef. The footage shows a mysterious creature, a mermaid, swimming in the distance. Now, the video has more than 2.7 million views, and there's another video as well from the same person which has more than 4 million views. The narrator of the video explains how he went to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia to test an underwater cage that he had recently bought. Two films were recorded, explains the narrator. He said he was testing out his camera and how to operate it, and he felt something behind him. He added that he only spotted the mermaid after he watched the footage on the computer. He never saw her in real life. Now, he claims that the video is real, not edited, not faked. Some people are claiming it's just a human in a costume, but I don't know. It looks pretty real to me. Up next, we have the Canada sighting. In June 1967, a mermaid was spotted on Main Island. She was seen in the early evening by passengers on ferries close to the west entrance to Active Pass. The Daily Colonist reported the sightings and included a photograph. Several witnesses said the mermaid had a large fish, apparently coho salmon, and one swore she had taken a bite out of it, the Colonist said on June 13th, 1967. Long silver blonde hair and topless condition were generally agreed upon. Now, the next day, the Colonist referred to her as the dimpled mermaid and said that she had the lower body of a fish or porpoise. The newspaper said she had been at Helen Point and had been seen eating a large salmon. A Cobble Hill man who flew over the area shortly after 7 p.m. managed to get an aerial photograph which reportedly corresponded closely to another photo taken. Then on June 15th, the newspaper reported that a $25,000 reward would be offered for the dimpled mermaid of Active Pass. The offer was made by Charles White of the Undersea Gardens, who added that a panel of competent marine biologists would have to confirm that the mermaid was the real thing. He also promised to negotiate a contract with the mermaid. I think we could come to terms. We would offer a substantial salary, room and board, and a supply of those special combs that mermaids use, he said. Now, unfortunately, no mermaid came forward, and the story kind of just disappeared. Moving on to the Jamaica sighting. Jamaica seems to be a hot spot for mermaid sightings. I mean, there are hundreds of them. From YouTube to TikTok to Reddit, people have been sharing their stories. Now, this particular video was taken at Flatbridge, where there have always been rumors of sightings. Now, in the video, you can hear people saying it's a mermaid. Watch, a mermaid, Jesus. Oh, she's gone, a woman says. Now, Daniel Gale, who has been diving and fishing in the area for the last 10 years, says the river has a season when the mermaid wants blood, and that's when a series of accidents usually occur. Whenever the river changes its color and gets dirty like now, that's when it's dangerous, and that's usually when the mermaid is active, Daniel told the Star. It's said that the only thing that will quiet the mermaid is blood, so as soon as it's satisfied, all accidents will cease. Now, it seems like this mermaid is no Little Mermaid type and is more evil than people thought. Now we have caught in a net. Fishermen are pretty brave. They sail in stormy weather, they've seen all different types of animals, nothing can really scare them. Well, that is unless they stumble upon a mermaid. In a viral video, it appears that some fishermen caught a mermaid in a net. Now, they didn't need to do this, they were just trying to see what fish they caught, and boom, a clearly humanoid arm with a webbed hand reached back at them from the net as if it was trying to grab the men. Now, the men leaned back to avoid it, and unfortunately the net slipped and fell back into the ocean. They then scrambled to lean over the side of the ship to see if they could catch another glimpse of the creature, but they couldn't, and whatever they saw got away, never to be seen again. Now let's talk about the Spain sightings. While it's rare to even see a mermaid, spotting a mermaid in the same place twice is even more rare. But it seems like Spain is the place for this to happen. Travelers on a cruise noticed a figure sitting on a distant rock deep within the ocean. Upon closer observation, it became clear that this figure was a mermaid, sunbathing and relaxing. They recorded the video in Malacca, Spain. Then this other video was taken by two friends who were surfing together. They were just recording each other and having fun, but it seems like they actually caught a mermaid on film too. You can see its tail coming out of the water and going back in. Now as they both spot the creature in the water, you can tell that they're scared and they decide to leave, which was probably the best option because they would not want to get dragged underwater by that thing. Now the most recent sighting is the 2023 sighting. In this extremely viral TikTok clip, seafarer who goes by the username @sauce.90 on social media, his real name being Ryan Coleman, filmed two mysterious figures swimming by his boat as it traveled through the choppy waves. Now as he records, his voice can be heard saying, "What are those? What's going on?" Pointing the camera at the sea, he notes, "Something swimming fast underneath the water, something swimming real fast." Now everyone in the comments believes it's mermaids that are keeping up with his ship. Now a strange wailing can be heard in the background as he asks the camera, "What the F is that noise, bro? What is that noise?" Then as he continues to remark that he can hear the strange intruders, a shrieking voice announces, "Jump for me." Now just hearing it creeps me out. Just listen. Now how he was able to stay calm after hearing that is beyond me. Now onto the Israel sighting. In 2009, dozens of locals near Kuryat Yam, Israel claimed to see a mermaid off the shore at sunset. Now these sightings went on for some time before the local media got involved. The onlookers said the creature resembled a young girl and would often visit the beach and do tricks in the water. Eventually the Israeli government noticed all the attention and issued a $1 million reward for anyone who could provide proof of the mermaid. Now this didn't include capturing, it simply required an authentic photo. Now no one ever came forward, but in 2013, the most compelling piece of evidence to date was a video shot by two tourists. Now the pair thought they had spotted a seal on a rock just off the coast, but as the camera zoomed in, it became clear it wasn't a seal. It was a mermaid. Now despite the evidence looking real, the prize money has not yet been handed out, but hey, that footage looks real to me. Give those people their money, it's only fair. Let's discuss the Zimbabwe sighting. Mermaids don't really like being around humans, and I can't say that I blame them. Now this was made extremely clear in the case of the Zimbabwe dam workers in 2012, who were trying to install a water pump which was crucial to the local agriculture. Now local divers and workers were hired to see what was blocking the pump, and when they surfaced, they vowed to never return. Why? Because there was a mermaid there. Sam Sipia Nkoma, a water resource minister, told the Senate committee that the village chiefs could perform an ancient ritual to get rid of the mermaid and calm the workers' anxiety, but they still refused to return after the ritual was performed. Now being skeptical of the workers' reasons for quitting, the government hired outside help as they thought this belief was cultural, but the new workers reported the same thing and refused to finish the repairs. Now to this day, the dam is still not finished. And hey, I wouldn't mess with a mermaid either. I think it's best that they left it alone. Next up, we have the Hawaii sighting. The island of Hawaii has plenty of folklore and legends around beautiful aquatic creatures, and the mermaid is one of them. For more than 50 years, people have reported seeing a mermaid off the coast of Hawaii's Big Island. But the sightings were never taken seriously until a dive boat captain finally captured the half-woman, half-fish on camera. Dive master Jeff Leiker photographed the creature known as the Kauai Point Mermaid on April 12, 1998, as he and 6 other divers were exploring the ocean bottom about 20 minutes off Hawaii's sunny Kona coast. As Jeff was photographing some underwater life, a mermaid brushed up against him while swimming and turned back around just in time for him to snap a few pictures. He said, "I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century. The Kauai Point mermaid is real. Now, this wasn't the only time he spotted the mermaid, as just a few hours before, he saw what looked like a nude woman swimming with a pod of dolphins. The woman was able to keep up the pace with the dolphins, which Jeff thought was odd. All of a sudden, she jumped into the air and he realized that she had the lower half of a fish. Now, 10 people on a boat witnessed this incident, but the mermaid disappeared after just 2 jumps out of the water. And lastly, we have the Minnesota sighting. A mysterious video claims to show the moment a mermaid was pulled from the water, prompting claims the mythical creatures do exist. The clip shows a green tail floating in the water and a figure being put onto a stretcher. The video was taken by an Australian tourist on a beach in Minnesota, but the precise location is unknown. According to Paranormal Elite, a YouTube channel which was sent the footage, the person who filmed it stayed behind after the beach was cleared. The man, identified only as Mackie, said large vehicles arrived with some people wearing yellow hazmat suits to protect them from dangerous materials. A Paranormal Elite spokesman said, the creature seen bears striking resemblance to the mermaids depicted in fictional stories. It remains a mystery whether or not mermaids do inhabit lakes in Minnesota. After all, what happens when the lake freezes in the winter? The enthusiast continued, I urge everyone to keep an open mind and come to a conclusion yourself. If this is in fact fake, the question arises as to why anyone would go to such lengths to hoax a video like this. Now, I honestly don't know if this is real or not, it truly just stumps me.
Kicking off the list at number 10, Captain John Smith. Another sea captain, another claim. Who is it this time? Not the great Captain John Smith, famous for settling Jamestown. He didn't see a mermaid in 1614, did he? He did? I knew it, I always knew it. The same captain famous for his relationship with Pocahontas almost got into an entanglement with some mermaids, it seems. He spotted a mermaid off the coast of Newfoundland apparently, and he couldn't keep his eyes off of her. He noted her long green hair imparted to her an original character that was by no means unattractive. That's what he says. You ever get caught checking out another girl? Try that line. But babe, I was imparted by her long green by no means unattractive hair. You know how it is. Look at it. I'm only human. Smith noted her large eyes as well. Again, big eyes coming back in. Fine nose, well-formed ears, slight roast there. But once he realized her bottom half was a little fishy, he bolted. He saw the green hair and he's like, nice. Then he saw the fins and he's like, okay, I'm actually all set, see ya. Number 9, Hawaii. Heading over to Kauai Point, Hawaii. I've never visited, but I've always wanted to go. And now apparently they have mermaids, so I'm booking a flight. Reports came in around 1998 from Jeff Leacher. Jeff is a diver who runs the Jack's diving locker on the point, and he says, and I quote, I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century. The Kauai Point mermaid is real. You heard it here on Most Amazing Top 10, folks. Mermaids equals real. We got it. He was diving one day and he heard a group of people in a nearby boat screaming around, so he obviously looked to see if everyone was okay. He popped his head up, looked over, and saw a mermaid splashing around in the water. She had jumped in the air and she was doing flips, and it's at that point when he realized she was a half fish. I mean, obviously, or else just a really athletic chick just jumping out of the water just with raw strength. He actually claims to have gotten a photo of the mermaid as it was passing above him in the ocean. Check it out. Little too good to be true? Yeah, maybe, I don't know, it's a number 9 for sure. What do we think? Comment down below. Number 8, Zimbabwe. The world did not end in 2012, thankfully, but it certainly got a little weird for those in Zimbabwe. Back in 2012, contractors were working on a dam, but they got interrupted one day when a mermaid just appeared out of nowhere, just showed up and was like, hi, stop. Thanks. Living in Canada, I'd be more afraid of beavers when it comes to dams, but mermaids, I guess those are scary too. This mermaid appeared and the workers were so afraid, they were so shook that they refused to even finish the project. Even after rituals were performed on the water, the workers were still like, nope, I'm all set. Thanks. They had to fly in a whole new batch of workers just to get it going again, but they too also saw this mermaid. And they too also refused to finish the project. Delay after delay. Do you think it was a mermaid, or is something else really going on here? If I was being paid unfairly, I would probably lie about a mermaid as well, to refuse work, yeah. Try that at your next job. Just say you saw a mermaid at booth 11, so now you gotta sign out. Just a fish sitting in a booth like, hi, what's a special? Number 7, Kai Islands. Back in 1943, Japanese soldiers were posted up on the Kai Islands in Indonesia. They claimed to have run into a mermaid numerous times, just like the Zimbabwe dam. It's like it's their territory, almost. Which makes sense why they would be upset about a new dam, right? That's a mermaid highway you're trying to close, brother. stop. On the Kai Islands, there were multiple encounters with multiple mermaids. The villagers referred to these creatures as orang ikan. Orang translates to human and ikan to fish. Human fish. While on patrol, Sergeant Taro Horiba had instructed the village chief to pass on any and all information if anybody sees one of these fish things, right? Well, somebody saw one, captured it, and Sergeant Horiba recalls the mermaid as being around 5 feet tall, skin was pinkish, and its face was human, but it had spikes around their head. And its mouth was that of a fish's mouth. So yeah, pretty hard to forget, I'd say. This was 1943, so the scientific community wasn't exactly sold off of this, so nothing ever came to be from this. But I weirdly believe this one. I don't know, a carp mouth is more believable than silvery blonde hair, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Number 6, Christopher Columbus. On his first trip overseas in 1493, Christopher Columbus claims to have seen not 1, not 2, but 3 mermaids. He even wrote about it. He said they rose well out of the sea, but they are not so beautiful they are said to be, for their faces had some masculine traits. Awesome. He's like, yeah, they're actually not that attractive because they look like guys. I'm like, awesome, thanks Chris. Maybe you should keep your eyes on where you're heading rather than trying to spot mermaids. I don't know. Just a little advice from the future. Historians believe Columbus may have gotten confused, classic Columbus, and he saw manatees instead of mermaids. Their skin is also pink and fleshy, so that's a fair mix-up, I guess. Maybe that's what everybody has been seeing this whole time. Still, I want to believe. Don't you? Let's move on. Number 5, ancient Romans. Oh, we're going way back for this one. Interesting, okay. The 1st century ancient Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder, he wrote a book, we've mentioned it on here a few times now, it's called Natural History, and this is like the holy grail of ancient history, okay, of ancient knowledge. In it, the Elder wrote about mermaids, oddly enough, these half-human, half-fish creatures that Pliny called nereids. The Elder added to his observation detailing that even the human parts of the body were covered in rough scales. The Elder also recalled seeing a seaman who would climb ships at night and eventually sink the ships, like overnight. Some Assassin's Creed mermaids? That's a DLC I'd buy, hands down. Number 4, Jenny Hannovers. Back in the 1500s, numerous mermaids were appearing in Antwerp. They had appeared so often that sailors had a nickname for them now. They were called Jenny Hannovers. Now, not only did they approach tourists, which terrifying, but they were also all business as well. They were all businessmen with fish bottoms, just trying to sell you things. Yeah, they would sell objects to tourists. Imagine hanging out by the sea, relaxing one day, and then a manfish approaches you trying to sell you a cigar. I'm like, can you go back? Where did you even come from? Also, you smell like fish. They were also referred to as devilfish, and perhaps they were the enemy of Christ. One of those two things, so you really don't know what to expect when a mermaid approaches you, so just a heads up, be careful. They might try and sell you something, or they might try and get you to sell you their soul. I just like doing that. I'll do mermaid lists all day if I can just do it like this. It's more of a snake, but you know, I'm trying my best. Number 3, oh Canada. Being a Canadian, we have to include a Canadian sighting of a mermaid. Of course, I missed this one. I wasn't born just quite yet. This was reported back in 1967 in British Columbia. When a group of tourists were on a ferry, they apparently saw a fish person. A mermaid. They all thought they saw a legit mermaid because of their silvery blonde hair. Was she splashing around in the shallow water? Was she doing backflips as she jumped over the waves? Nope, she was just sitting there enjoying lunch. The tourists all report this mermaid sitting down eating a salmon while the waves crashed over her tail. That's like a deleted scene from Little Mermaid. The city was jazzed about this, I guess. They put out a reward for $25,000 for this mermaid in hopes that it was a hoax or somebody would turn up, but sadly nothing happened. Number 2, Wales. I mean Wales as the place, not Wales like, this is all mermaid talk here, okay? In 1603, off the coast of Wales, numerous reports were flooding in about a sea creature, humanoid fish monster. Nice and calm report there. This time it wasn't a sailor. It wasn't a dehydrated, confused guy behind the wheel of a boat. It was near Pendeen, and it was a farmer named Thomas Reynold. He first saw it nearby on the shores, and then like a normal dude, he called others over to witness it as well. Cause yeah, back then you can't take a photo that's not even close yet. So he's like, hey, look at this. Oh my God. And then people ran over. They all stood by and watched this thing for around 3 hours. All the accounts were collected, and since it was, again, 1603, some dude had to draw out what they were talking about. Sounds exhausting. And this was the closest they could all get. I mean, that's believable and all, but I really hope this was a mermaid, or else maybe a bunch of dudes just gathered around and watched some fish mate. Or they watched someone drown for 3 hours. I don't know. Go check it out. It looks like a person, I know, right? Like, bro, go help, what? And finally, number 1, Sirens. Ben Stiller may think he's a glamorous merman, but in the 13th century Norwegian manuscript, these fish-human hybrids were described accurately. They were described as terrifying. I'm fairly positive that if mermaids were real right now, they're not like Ariel at this point. It's kind of hard to sing under the sea when a plastic bag wraps around your face, you know, mid-chorus. These mermaids were referred to as sirens, monsters, described as tall and great of size, shoulders like a man, but no hands, like one of these, aka fish person. Whenever the monster would appear, historically, doom was meant to follow. It was a bad omen, obviously. Kind of like the Goblet of Fire, those mermaids. Those mermaids were a mess. Oh my god, what a horrible school that was. Terrifying. When the 18th century rolled in, Europeans in the Dutch Indies discovered plants and creatures that had never been seen prior. So, naturally, they would document these new discoveries in detail. And in 1718, a painter named Samuel Fallers claimed to have discovered and caught a siren, a mermaid. He brought her into his home, apparently, and drew this on the spot. And after day 4 of living in a container of water, the mermaid died. She purposely didn't eat and she starved herself to death. She refused to eat in this container. What a ride or die. Again, this was 1718, so part of me thinks maybe this happened. I don't know, why lie? I mean, we make up stories and movies and all that jazz now, but you know, James Cameron makes billions of dollars for it. Back then, there's no reason. It's like, hey, look at this painting. And they're like, cool. There's no reason to lie. Also, the fact that it's accurate to other sightings around the world in different centuries, it's a tad convincing. What do we think, folks?
Mermaids. We'd all love to believe they exist, or would we? If mermaid-like creatures really do exist somewhere in the vastness of the ocean, are they something we'd ever want to come face to face with? These are some of the creepiest mermaid stories and footage. This is a piece of supposed mermaid footage captured in Spain. It was taken back in 2013. A man was filming the scenery while cruising around on a tour boat in Mallorca, but something odd showed up on camera. Sitting on a mound of rocks just off the shore was a very odd-looking creature. It had an elongated tail and a bit of a bluish hue, obviously an aquatic animal, but zooming in closer, this thing looks unlike any known animal in the world. The upper part of the body appears to be kinda human-like, with 2 humanoid arms and a round head, and at first you think that it's completely still, almost like it could be a sculpture or something, but as you can see, it does move its arms. So is this a genuine piece of mermaid footage, or is it just a hoax done with CGI? Is someone sitting in a fish suit out there? As for every piece of footage on this list, let us know down in the comments what your thoughts are. This next one's kinda sad, because it's a dead mermaid, or at least it could be. Folks aren't really sure what this thing is, to be honest, but it certainly creeped out a lot of people. Just back in July of 2023, mysterious remains washed ashore on an Australian beach, along the shores of Keppel Sands, Queensland. A local named Bobby Lee Oates stumbled on these skeletal remains that have not been definitively identified. But what a lot of folks online started commenting was that these skeletal remains had almost mermaid-like features, describing the find as approximately 6 feet in length, with a human-shaped skull, an elongated jawline, and distinctive hair reminiscent of a cow or kangaroo, albeit with a lot of decomposition. Oates shared her findings with the Marine Biology Facebook group. The remains also appeared to possess a tail or limb of some kind. Rob DeVille, an expert from the UK Cetacean Strandings Investigation Program, cautiously weighed in on these images, saying that the possibility of it being the remains of a small cetacean species was high, but he couldn't fully confirm because of his unfamiliarity with the typical marine life in the area, and, of course, just how decomposed the thing was. One of the scariest versions of the mermaid myth has to be the ningen, a creature that people in Japan have actually reported seeing over the past few years. So in recent years, rumors have spread in Japan about mysterious humanoid creatures known as ningen, which are said to live in the icy waters of the Antarctic. These creatures are said to be completely white and can grow between 20 to 30 meters long. Witnesses have described them having a human-like shape with arms, legs, and sometimes even 5-fingered hands. Some say they have fins or tails, kinda like mermaids, or tentacles. In one sighting, the crew of a whale research ship thought they saw a foreign submarine, but when they got closer, they realized that what they were actually looking at was a living creature, which quickly vanished underwater. Then in November of 2007, an issue of MU magazine included a Google Earth screenshot that seemed to show one in the South Atlantic Ocean. The Japanese government has been rumored to be keeping detailed records of sightings, but of course, they haven't released any information to the public. Eyewitnesses are reportedly instructed to stay silent. From Reddit user Old Supermarket 5657 comes a tale I'm going to call the Lightning Mermaid, and goes as follows. In 2021, I was in Montego Bay, Jamaica. I was sitting on the beach alone during a silent lightning storm at night, and all of a sudden I felt this intense urge to run into the water. Mind you, I don't swim. After a while, the urge intensified and I stupidly went to put my feet in the water. I remember the water was bubbling and it was pitch black, and I immediately felt this sense of dread and danger and ran back out of the water. After getting out, I went back to sit down on my folding chair, and out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning lit up the sky and the sea, and I saw a big black figure with long hair not too far away from me, just staring at me from the water. After the lightning was gone, the figure was nowhere to be found. I sat there for a half an hour trying to figure out what I'd just seen, but it never happened again. I really believe that it was a mermaid trying to take me out into the sea. Next up is a very creepy piece of footage. Again, this is a mermaid carcass, or at least that's really what it looks like. The footage was taken after a hurricane. We watch as our camera person walks along a beach, trees and debris are scattered across the sand, but then the camera lands on something fishy having washed ashore. At first it looks like it's just a large fish, but the longer you look at it, you realize there's a head of hair on it. Our brave cameraman walks closer to the beached creature, and we see what looks to be a mummified mermaid. It has bony human-looking arms and, most horrifyingly, a human-looking head. Again, very grotesque and mummified. And this is probably not how you'd like to imagine coming across a mythical creature. Now, of course, something like this could be faked. Special effects prosthetics are pretty convincing sometimes, but even if it is faked, it's very well done. One of the top comments in the video posted by Cajun2197 states the following: "I've seen real mummies. This looks frighteningly real. The skin pulled back around the mouth as it dried, bulging eyes, taut cheekbones, the ribs and pelvis under dark dried flesh, the fins brittle, exactly like a dead fish dying in the sun." There was another video by someone else filming this creature when it was less decomposed. The arm was more intact and the cheek was not rotting out. Now, if this is fake, someone went to a great deal of trouble to do this. And why? What I find interesting about that comment, aside from the description of how realistic this thing looks, is that someone else also filmed this thing. That means the person filming this video may have not been involved with the hoax, if it is indeed a hoax. Pretty interesting video, but again, what do you all think? Next on the list is the cave dive. This video was uploaded to YouTube by Suerte Mal Suerte, who stated that he'd been cave diving in a cenote cave near Cancun when he spotted something that looked a lot like a mermaid. A beautiful piece of footage here, by the way. We watch as he descends into the cave, diving underwater, and as he swims further into the depths, something swims by, right under one of his buddy's feet. Unlike some of the other footage on this list, this one is pretty clear. Hard to look at this creature and see anything else but a mermaid. Is this a woman in a very solid mermaid costume though, or do you think this is genuine? From Ladder Towel 9403 comes a story about an incredibly disturbing fishing trip. I was fishing in a river about 1.5 miles from my grandmother's house. I'd always walked there and fished from the bank where I'd gone since I was young. I was down fishing with my dog Josie, and I was sitting and leaning against a tree. Then my bobber went down hard and my rod almost went out of my hands. I figured I had a bass or catfish. For some reason though, I started following my line as if something was drawing me in. Josie was freaking out, yelling and even biting my leg trying to get me back, but I kept following it almost like I was in a trance. Then something broke the surface of the water right in front of me. All I could see was this torso with a greenish brown head, and I saw its hand, yes, a hand, was pulling my line towards it, and I was so scared but couldn't stop as it continued to pull me closer. Josie was between us, barking and snapping at it, and suddenly I was able to go back towards the bank, leaving everything. I saw it grab Josie, and going for my blade, I cut the line, grabbed Josie, and ran out of the water. I heard a weird slapping sound and a grunt, and I just kept running until I was almost home. Josie was hurt. One of her ears were almost gone. Finally though, I got to the house. I was crying and threw her in the car and went straight to the vet. Still wet and shaking, I told the vet something got her and waited anxiously until he came back and said that she was lucky, that he had extracted a tooth from her skull. He said it looked like an alligator tooth, but I knew better. I never told my family about what happened, but I knew damn well it wasn't an alligator. In 2009, a story came out about a series of mermaid sightings in Israel. The mayor of the small coastal town of Kuryat Yam was offering $1 million to whoever could prove the creature's existence. Now, the sightings didn't start in 2009. There had been reports of a mermaid-like creature for years before, but in the summer of that year, reports had been rising dramatically. The creature would often appear at sunset and perform a few tricks in the water before diving deeper into the depths. One man, Shlomo Cohen, described having spotted it, saying, "I was with friends when suddenly we saw a woman lying on the sand in a weird way. First I thought she was just another sunbather, but when we approached, she jumped into the water and disappeared. We were all in shock because we saw she had a tail." Redditor Cornholio69666, great name, posted their story about almost being dragged under the water by something. They wrote, "I'm living in the Caribbean in Utila, Honduras. Once I was in Neptune's, one of the most virgin beaches here, and I was just swimming, not even diving or snorkeling, and I felt a hand pulling me. And I have long hair to my shoulders. I'm 6'5", so it started pulling my hair. Obviously I panicked, and my two friends were looking at me like, what the F is going on? So I got back to the dock, and then I spot a remora. They have a soft tissue that makes suction, and that's how they cling to sharks and whales. But I've never encountered a fish that pulls down. My friend is a diving instructor, and she got into the water. The remora never got close to her, but it touched my legs, arms, it pulled my hair. My diving instructor friend vouches for my mermaid story, and I believe in them, honestly. And finally, we have the Australian mermaid sighting. Now, despite what you may think about the validity of this piece of footage, you cannot deny how darn beautiful it looks. And not just the supposed mermaid either, the bright blue, the abundance of the marine life, the sound of the water. It's an oddly relaxing video. We've looked at some dark stuff in this list, so this is a nice one to leave on. So our camera person is doing a dive, filming the beautiful waters before panning over to observe something swimming through the water. It looks like your classic mythological mermaid. It has a long fishy tail, and we also briefly see human-looking arms moving gracefully through the water before swimming out of sight deeper into the murkiness of the depths. Whether this was a real mermaid sighting or not, personally I err on the side of yes, but it's a lot of unexplored ocean out there. Whether or not it's a genuine thing, it's pretty cool. I really do hope that it's real at the very end. In Okayama Prefecture in Japan, there's a mysterious mummy that's been unsettling people for centuries, and that's because it's supposedly a mermaid mummy. It's about 30 centimeters long with the upper body of what looks like a human or humanoid and the lower body of a fish. It still has hair on its head, teeth, nails, and scales, and its face is frozen in what looks like this silent scream, with its hands pulled up toward its mouth. The artifact's been kept at a temple in Asakuchi, where some people worship it. The temple's chief priest compared the mummy to Amabie, a mythical creature that's said to protect people from plagues. Supposedly, it also grants immortality to whoever tastes its flesh. The mummy, I mean, and I'm not sure anyone's been brave enough to try. According to an old note stored with the mummy, it was supposedly caught in a fishing net somewhere off the coast of Tosa province between 1736 and 1741. Over time, it passed through several hands before ending up at the temple. For years, the mummy was displayed in a glass case for visitors, but now it's stored safely in a fireproof box to protect it from falling apart. Just recently though, researchers from Kurashiki University of Science and the Arts, along with some folklore experts, started studying the mummy for the first time. They're using tests like CT scans and DNA analysis to figure out what it's actually made of. Some mermaid mummies in Japan have been proven to be crafted fakes, usually made by stitching together parts of fish and monkeys, but this one hasn't been officially confirmed yet. Hiroshi Kinoshita, who helped launch the project, says it's a chance to explore not just whether it's real, but what it means in Japanese folklore. For more than 50 years, people in Hawaii have claimed to see a mermaid swimming off the coast of Big Island, but the story is usually written off as local legends. That changed in 1998 when a dive boat captain named Jeff Leitcher said he not only saw the creature, but managed to capture it on film. Leitcher, who runs Jack's Diving Locker, was out on April 12, 1998 with 6 other divers about 20 minutes from Hawaii's Kona coast when something strange happened. I'd heard about her before, Leitcher said. Most of us who are out in these waters regularly have heard stories. but I'd never seen her until that morning. While heading out toward Kaiwi Point, a school of dolphins began swimming alongside their boat when one of the crew members suddenly started shouting and pointing at the water. I couldn't believe what I saw. There, not 10 feet from the bow, was what looked like a nude woman, Leitcher said. She had long flowing hair and one of the most beautiful faces I've ever seen. But there's no way a human being could be swimming so fast. She was keeping right up with the dolphins. Leitcher said the creature then jumped out of the water and said the entire lower half of her was, quote, covered with scales and tapered back into a huge fishtail. She jumped once more, then disappeared under the surface. According to Leitcher, all 10 people on the boat saw it as well, but that wasn't the end of it. About an hour later, while diving at the point, Leitcher said he had another close encounter. Suddenly, I felt something brush against my right leg. She shot by me like a streak of lightning, then turned and came back past me, swimming the other way. I just aimed the camera and started snapping pictures. I kept shooting as she broke the surface and swam away. These photos here were later analyzed by 3 separate photography labs, which all concluded that the images had not been altered or tampered with. I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century, Leitcher said. The Kaiwi Point mermaid is real. From a now deleted Reddit user comes a story about an experience a man had while at the beach. He writes, I'm posting here because I don't know where else to post and ask about this. I was at the beach with some family. My daughter and I were in the water, maybe 100 yards or so offshore. I was maybe 15 feet out past her when I heard this noise. The only way I can describe it is radar, sonar-ish. It was deep and I felt it. I've been around the ocean my whole life, 40 years, and never heard anything like this. Then I heard it again. I swam back to her and asked if she heard it. She said yes. I told her to mimic the sound, and she did. Then it happened one more time, and then a young guy yells over, "Did you hear that? That's scary." Is it possible, hypothetically, that if a submarine is offshore but close, you could hear it and feel the instruments? Otherwise, I have no explanation. Sticking with Reddit for a minute, one user named CrazyPrior5350 asked people to share some of the weirdest or creepiest sounds people had heard at sea. One user commented, "I've heard singing and speaking voices that didn't belong to anyone on the boat. It was just a little louder than a whisper, basically just loud enough that it was understandable. Everyone else heard it too, but it was oddly comforting instead of creepy." And yeah, this sounds a lot like the types of legends of mermaid sounds I discussed at the top of the video, doesn't it? And other commenters agreed. But one commenter did say that sound travels really easily on water, which is true, to which the user responded, "It has happened a few times with the boat I'm on being the only one in eyesight, but I usually chalk it up to stuff like that. Unless my nieces or nephews hear it too, then I say it's mermaids or something." The Arctic ping was a mysterious noise reported in 2016 near a small Inuit hamlet called Igloolik in Nunavut. Hunters in the area began to notice this strange pinging noise coming from the Fury and Hecla Strait, which is about 75 miles northwest of their community. What made the sound especially concerning wasn't just how odd it was, it actually seemed to be having a negative effect on the wildlife. The hunters found that the noise seemed to be scaring away the sea mammals that they rely on for food. The sound appeared to be originating from the sea floor. But it wasn't just a few locals hearing these sounds. It got serious enough that they had to call the military in to investigate. And the military claimed they couldn't find any concrete source of this pinging. So what are some possible explanations? Well, aside from mermaids, of course, I mean, that's obvious. One theory that was floating around was that Greenpeace activists might have been causing it, trying to scare off animals to protect them from hunters. This next underwater sound is still yet to be fully explained. Some think it may have been caused by an iceberg, but either way, it's still a super haunting recording. The eerie sound has been dubbed Julia and was captured by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. When the NOAA placed hydrophones deep in the ocean, they unexpectedly picked up this low-frequency sound resembling a haunting, almost ghostly moan. A lot of people who listen to this think that there's something so alive about the sound. It's like something only a living creature could make. And yeah, to me, totally sounds like some sort of large sea creature or maybe a mermaid type animal. I don't know what it is about underwater recordings. There's something so unsettling about them. I think it's the way the sound carries underwater. You know, they have this very spacey, ethereal quality about them. I also think that's just the fear of the unknown. We picture ourselves submerged in the expanse of the dark depths of the sea before hearing a low, droning, lonely hum from something lurking in the distance. It's just creepy. The bloop is a famous underwater sound that has still yet to be 100% identified. So the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was doing their thing. They were monitoring underwater sounds in the Pacific Ocean when they came across this eerie recording. The bloop was like nothing they had ever heard before. It was this crazy low frequency noise that lasted for an entire minute. People were going nuts trying to figure out what could have made such a sound. Of course, wild theories started flying around. Some folks thought it was some kind of massive sea creature, like a supersized version of Nessie or Kraken. Others were convinced that maybe it was aliens, because, you know, when we don't know what something is, it's got to be a ghost or aliens, right? But as it turns out, the NOAA scientists had a more down-to-earth explanation. They reckon that the bloop was caused by a huge chunk of ice breaking off from a glacier and falling into the ocean. You know, scientists are always trying to ruin the fun. I still like to think it's a sea creature. And again, the sea, the ocean, it's vast.
In 2005, a team of commercial divers working off the coast of Baranof Island in Alaska reportedly encountered something terrifying while performing maintenance on deep-sea pipeline. According to a declassified safety report from the contractor, 2 divers surfaced early, shaken and refusing to go back down. One claimed he saw a, quote, human face with gills staring at him from a crevice in a rock. They described the creature as having webbed hands, reflective eyes, and scales that shimmered in their flashlight beams. Locals weren't surprised. In fact, some Inuit legends speak of sea people who dwell near that exact region. They even have a name, the Kalupalik, mermaid-like beings that lure people underwater with a hum you can only hear when submerged. High up on the windswept cliffs of the Faroe Islands, a remote chain in the North Atlantic, there is a cave that few people dare enter. Inside are carvings, ancient ones, etched into the rock. They clearly depict human-fish hybrids drawn with long hair, webbed hands, and tails. According to local historians, these markings predate Christian influence in the area and may have been created by Norse explorers. But here's the twist. One panel shows what appears to be a mermaid holding a dead man's head. Creepy? Absolutely. But archaeologists can't deny the authenticity, and some believe the site was a ritual space used to ask protection from sea spirits during voyages. These weren't just artistic depictions, they were warnings. In 2013, an offshore oil rig operating in the Gulf of Mexico experienced a strange sonar reading. Something large, fast, and warm-blooded was circling the base of the platform. Assuming it was a shark, divers went to inspect the structure, but returned reporting, quote, something strange watching us from the shadows. One diver swore he saw a pale-skinned human-like figure swimming against the current with almost no effort. He said it had no breathing apparatus, yet it was moving at least 60 feet down. Internal emails from the rig, later leaked online, referred to it as, quote, the Mermaid incident. No formal statement was ever released, and the crew involved were reassigned shortly after. Most people think of the Fiji mermaid as a 19th century hoax, an ugly little thing that turned out to be a monkey sewn to a fish. But here's what most people don't know. There were dozens of reports of similar creatures in the South Pacific long before it became a circus attraction. Fishermen from the islands have passed down stories for generations of a creature with glowing eyes and silver fins that comes to surface during storms. Some researchers believe the, quote, original Fiji mermaid, shown by P.T. Barnum, may have been a poorly preserved copy of something real because other specimens that looked nearly identical were reportedly destroyed by British colonists trying to, quote, clean up native beliefs.
And 2012, Zimbabwe found itself caught up in a very strange case involving mermaids that had workers fleeing from their dam sites in the country. Water Resources Minister Sam Sipepa Nkomo addressed the issue during a Senate committee meeting, revealing that mermaids had been scaring away government workers at dam sites, or that's what workers had been saying. According to Nkomo, the workers were so terrified by these supposed creatures that they abandoned their posts, refusing to return. Nkomo shared that traditional chiefs had been called in to, quote, perform rituals to exorcise the mermaids believed to inhabit reservoirs. The mermaids, often described as female creatures with fishtails, were said to frighten the workers by allegedly pulling people under the water. In response to the workers' fears, Nkomo had even attempted to hire white personnel, assuming that they wouldn't be familiar with the mermaid legends, but they too then started reporting strange sightings and would refuse to work on the project. Now, there was skepticism from some, obviously, including Minister Nkomo, who thought that maybe the strange cases could have been caused by hazardous water currents, but the government decided to carry out the traditional rites to calm the fears of the local workers anyway. This footage comes from Marginal Media on YouTube, who explained that he'd captured the footage while diving in the Great Barrier Reef. He'd been testing out an underwater camera when he spotted the creature, only he didn't realize what he'd filmed until later when reviewing the footage on his laptop. At the time, he'd been too busy futzing with the camera, but felt something coming from behind him. He managed to shoot it, but at the time, while underwater with, low visibility like this, he figured what he'd seen was just a normal fish. Now, he was adamant that what he'd filmed was not from a movie or anything like that, and that he hadn't filmed it in a controlled environment like a swimming pool. He says it's 100% genuine, so believe him or not. In 1809, a woman named Miss Mackay from the town of Thurso in Scotland claimed to have witnessed a real mermaid while walking along the beach. According to her account in the Kentish Gazette newspaper, she had an up-close view of the creature and described it in great detail, saying the face seemed plump and round, the eyes and nose were small, and the former were of light gray color, and the mouth was large, and from the shape of the jawbone, which seemed straight, the face looked short. She also said that the mermaid's forehead, nose, and chin were white, but the side of the face was a bright pink. The mermaid's hair, which Miss Mackay described as thick and long, with a, quote, gray, oily cast, appeared to be a challenge for the creature as the waves often threw it over its face. She said the creature seemed bothered by this, frequently using both its hands to push the hair back and rub its throat, almost as if trying to remove any dirt from the water. On June 4, 1857, two Scottish sailors, John Williamson and John Cameron, reported spotting a strange creature off the coast of Britain. While at sea, they saw a creature in the water that they described as resembling a woman. According to their account, we distinctly saw an object about 6 yards distant from us in the shape of a woman, with full breast, dark complexion, comely face, and fine hair hanging in ringlets over the neck and shoulders. It sounds like these guys were out of the water a little too long with nothing but each other. Anyway, they described the creature as being submerged up to its middle, with its head above the water, gazing at them and even shaking its head. Going on to write, the weather being fine, we had a full view of it, and that for 3 or 4 minutes. And finally, in 1967, near Main Islands in British Columbia, something strange happened. A ferry filled with tourists spotted a blonde-haired mermaid-like creature sitting on the beach eating a fish. One witness even described her as attractive with dimples. To top it off, a photo was taken showing a woman with blonde hair and the lower half of a porpoise. Later that week, another mermaid sighting apparently occurred, but by then skepticism was growing and a lot of people understandably started dismissing the sightings as hoaxes. Charles White, owner of the Undersea Gardens, a ship doubling as an underwater aquarium, offered a $25,000 reward for the mermaid's capture. He even promised room and board plus special combs for the mermaid's comfort. So quite an odd offer, but he was desperate to prove that she was real. Unfortunately, after a few weeks, the story lost steam and the mermaid sightings faded into local legend. From a fisherman of Reddit comes a wild story of an encounter in Oregon. It goes as follows. This happened a few years ago off the coast of Newport, Oregon. I never know if it's Oregon or Oregon. I hear it pronounced different ways. You locals will have to let me know in the comments. Anyway, continuing on. I was working on a small trawler, a 3-man crew dragging for shrimp about 40 miles out. Around 3 a.m., I'm doing a gear check alone at the stern when I hear a splash. I figure it's a dolphin or maybe a sea lion, nothing unusual out there. But when I shine my light over the side, I catch a flash of something just under the surface. Not a fish, not anything I recognized. It was pale with limbs. Long limbs. Honestly, it looked like a person swimming parallel to the boat, just below the waterline, head tilted up like it was watching me. I couldn't make out a face, just the shape. I called one of the guys over, but by the time he came out, it was gone. He laughed it off, told me I was overtired. Fair, I didn't argue, but for the rest of the night, every time I passed the stern, I had this feeling like something was pacing us underwater. I've seen some weird things in trawl nets, but nothing ever gave me that feeling before. We didn't catch much that trip. I didn't sleep. I still don't like working nights after that. Now imagine you're out on the water just fishing, enjoying the day, when suddenly something huge breaches the water. Something like this. Patricia and her fiance Dave were fishing near Sanibel, Florida on October 6th of 2013 when they spotted whatever that was. They said it was at least 20 feet long, cutting through the waves at high speed before breaching the surface and twisting around, almost like it had wrapped itself around something before vanishing again. The video uploaded to the Residual Payments YouTube channel is unsettling for a couple reasons. First, the movement in the water starts on the left side, and then out of nowhere, something much further away bursts to the surface. So what are we looking at here? Is it two creatures? Or worse, is it just one really big, fast-moving animal? Little Mermaid? More like the chunker mermaid. The next Disney classic. Now, what really sells the footage is the reaction from Patricia and Dave. You can hear them in the background and they sound genuinely freaked out. These aren't tourists mistaking a dolphin for a monster. They're Florida natives who've spent their whole lives around the water, and they were adamant that this thing was not a dolphin or a manatee. Whatever they saw that day left them completely baffled. Eerie sounds from the depths of the sea have been reported since the early days of exploration, and sightings of mermaids go back just as far. Today we're diving into some of the unsettling sounds of the sea that might just be linked to the legends of mermaids, from haunting melodies that lure sailors to bizarre noises recorded in the depths of the ocean. These are unsettling sounds of mermaids that scientists are trying to translate.